Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that many rose lovers come across when researching rose varieties, but often overlook: the parentage of a rose. In other words, who gave birth to this flower? Who are its parents? Understanding a rose's parentage not only helps us trace its lineage, but also allows us to better predict its flower form, color, fragrance, and even disease resistance. In rose breeding, there are two very important concepts: the seed parent and the pollen parent. The seed parent, also called the mother plant, is the rose used to produce the seeds, while the pollen parent, also called the father plant, is the one that provides the pollen. When written, the order always follows this rule: mother first, father second, with a times symbol in between to indicate the cross. Let's take the famous climbing rose Eden Climber as an example. Its seed parent is a climbing rose from Mainland called Music Dancer, introduced before 1984. And its pollen parent is another climber named Pink Wonder. Through this combination, Eden inherited the soft color and elegant flower form of its mother, while gaining the vigorous climbing growth and rich petal structure of its father. This blend of traits gives Eden both a sense of classic romantic beauty and excellent growth performance, making it one of the true classics among climbing roses. It's important to note that in plant breeding, the genetic contribution of the seed parent and the pollen parent is not symmetrical. The seed parent often has a stronger influence on traits such as flower shape, bloom quantity, and plant form, while the pollen parent tends to affect characteristics like color, disease resistance, or fragrance. Therefore, when interpreting parentage information, the order matters. It should never be reversed or taken lightly. Of course, when examining the parentage of a rose, you may also encounter some special cases. Some varieties don't have specific parent names. For example, you might see terms like seedling or unknown. This indicates that the seed parent or pollen parent was an unnamed seedling used by the breeder, or that its origin can no longer be verified. Such situations are especially common in older varieties or in newly bred commercial cultivars whose lineage is kept confidential. For example, the rose variety Parade has a seed parent that is a seedling derived from the famous climbing rose New Dawn. In other words, the breeder sowed seeds from New Dawn and selected one promising seedling as the seed parent. The pollen parent, on the other hand, is a climbing rose called World's Fair. This type of combination falls under the category of known maternal lineage but unnamed individual. It reflects a very common practice in rose breeding. Breeders do not name every single seedling, but instead record the parentage simply as a seedling of a certain variety. Although such records may seem vague, they still provide valuable genetic clues for understanding the heritage of descendant varieties. An even more extreme case is when both the seed parent and pollen parent are unnamed. For example, in David Austin's famous rose Olivia, both parents are experimental seedlings that were never given official names. This situation is not uncommon among classic English roses, especially during the early stages of breeding. Although the exact identities of the parents are unknown, the breeder, through careful selection and repeated trials, ultimately produced a new variety of outstanding quality. In some cases, breeders name the parent plants using internal breeding codes rather than public variety names. For instance, both parents of the rose knockout are identified only by the breeder's internal code numbers, not by official cultivar names. This shows that during the breeding process, breeders often use their own experimental seedlings or numbered selections for hybridization, rather than naming every parent plant. By doing so, they can freely combine roses of different genetic backgrounds to test characteristics such as flower form, color, and disease resistance. Then select the most promising offspring to introduce to the market as official varieties. Therefore, even when the parents are known only by breeding codes, they can still produce outstanding commercial roses, and Knockout is a perfect example of this practice. Overall, the birth of a rose is never a matter of chance. Behind every bloom lies the meeting of two flowers, and the breeder's years of patience and dedication. Some roses inherit the tenderness and grace of their mothers, others carry the strength and resilience of their fathers. Each cross is like an unknown journey. No one can predict which seedling will one day become the next rose beloved around the world. When we look at the seed parent and pollen parent of a rose, it's like reading a poem of lineage. Within it are hidden the shapes of petals, the layers of color, the depth of fragrance, and the ideals cherished in the breeder's heart. Sometimes the parents have names, sometimes they're only breeding codes or even nameless seedlings. Yet each one quietly passes on the essence of life, continuing the diversity and romance of the rose world. So when we see a blooming rose in the garden, it may not be just a single variety, it is the continuation of generations. The result of countless failures and one moment of success, and above all, the embodiment of a breeder's vision of the perfect rose. Well, that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you next time.